Gog Magog is one word or two words? And that's the name of the person who's going to fight whom?
We'll talk about B'ezrat Hashem some other time. Now we're going to get into this issue. Tonight, B'ezrat Hashem, welcome. We're going to talk about the Parashat Shavua, which is Vaishlach. A very important parsha itself. This parsha talks about the issue of Yaakov Avinu now coming back home after his long stay at Lavan's house. Right, that's the idea. So, as they say, right, Chazal, they compare this to like a person who goes to the field, goes outside, and he gets attacked by a lion. So somehow he gets away from the lion, he manages to escape. Then he goes over there, runs off, and then he sees a tiger over there. Tiger attacks him. So then he manages to escape the tiger. Then he's attacked by the bear. And then once he escapes the bear, he sees a big snake who wants to eat him up. So this is what they say about Yaakov Avinu. He was going from one wild animal to another. Right. First he started off with Esav, then he went to Lavan, then he had to go back to Esav, and then it was Shechem, and then it was Mitzrayim, Paro, and all these wild animals all over the place. Escapes from one, goes to the other. That's the way it was, right, with Yaakov Avinu. His whole life was like that. From one enemy to another. That's the idea. So what happened here is that now Yaakov Avinu, on the one hand, he's very happy. Why is that? Because he left Lavan in good shape, in one piece. No wounds, no scars, right? No nothing. Everything nice and clean, complete, whole. Didn't get harmed by Lavan, because Lavan was on a daily basis trying to kill Yaakov. That's what they say, right? How was he trying to kill him? All kinds of magic, black magic, voodoo, all kinds of things. Sorcery, every day trying some new trick, some new spell, abracadabra, hocus pocus, blah, 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 blah. Every day something. He couldn't overcome Lavan. Whatever he tried, he couldn't overcome him. Why is that? What's the reason why, by the way? Lavan was a big sorcerer. So why wasn't he able to overcome? Because a person who's connected to the Kedusha, to the holiness, the side of the impurity cannot harm him. Understand? Why is that? Because the holiness is more powerful than the purity. So if you're attached to the purity, to the holiness, nobody can get you. Whatever it is, right? This Esav, Lavan, they're all kinds of evil powers. The Satan, different elements of the Satan over there. None of them can harm you. When you're with Hashem, that's it. You're protected, 100% protection, right? No qualms, no doubts. That's the idea. So this is the reason why, no matter what Lavan did, he couldn't destroy it. He wasn't only trying to destroy, as we find in the Agadah, right, or Pesach. Arami Oved Avi. What does that mean? What does that mean that we say over there? It means that this Arami, who's Lavan, I'm talking about Lavan, he tried to destroy the whole family, not only Yaakov to kill him. The whole family, the children, the wives, everything. He wanted to wipe out the whole family, extermination. Like Hitler, same thing, right? That's the idea. So this was the same idea. Lavan Arami tried to destroy everybody, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved us from their hands, of the Lavan. So now, he escapes the lion. Now the tiger is coming, right? What does that mean? Now he's going back home. And who's there, right? Lo and behold, it's your dear brother, Esav. Right? Esav is waiting for him over there. You know what I mean? So Yaakov Avinu was like saying to himself, oh man, I just escaped the lion now. So what do I do now with this crazy tiger? What do I do with him? How do I combat him? What should I do? The truth is that when he left Lavan's house, he was very confident that he could combat Esav. That's why he left. He knew that at this time, he was already invincible. He was powerful. He had enough power to combat Esav. What's the reason why? What's the reason why he felt now he had the power to do that? So to say the Chazal, this was when Yosef was born. When Yosef HaTzadik was born, he said, now I have the power to combat Esav. That's the idea, right? What's the connection between this and this? They say that Yosef HaTzadik is the antidote to Esav. It's like when you get a snake bite, lo aleinu, you need like a antidote to take, right? So you have the venom of the snake, and you have the antidote. Same thing over here. Yosef was the antidote to the venom of Esav. That's what he was. Huh?
In what way?
In what way? That's the question, right? What way was he? What's the connection over here? So they say it's a whole story, but to make a whole long story short, right? For the sake of brevity, right? What's the idea? The idea is that Yosef HaTzadik is just the opposite of Esav. First of all, number one, Esav and Yosef had the same kind of role in terms of their destiny was really supposed to be the same. What does that mean? Esav was supposed to be the Messiah, some kind of Messiah. What does that mean? Mashiach ben Yosef. What is Mashiach ben Yosef? Not only did it comes from Yosef HaTzadik, that's not the issue. The issue is that Mashiach ben Yosef is somebody who takes the world from a downtrodden state, lifts them up, and saves them, like a savior. Somebody who takes a down low person, down and out. Like those guys in San Francisco, in the street they're living, with the needles and this kind of thing. People like that, you take them, they're downtrodden, homeless people, and you make them into like a, wealthy tycoon. Also, all of a sudden they're living in Bel Air, in California. How do you do such a thing like that? So Esav was supposed to be the one who did that. That was his role. He failed, unfortunately. How did he fail? Because Esav had this quality. The good quality of Esav was that he knew how to organize everything in the world, to make law and order. Everything should be laws, punishment, everything. Everything is organized. Everything has its own place. That's the way it's supposed to be according to Esav. Esav was the one who was supposed to fix the world. So what happened was that instead of doing this to fix the world, he does it for his own sake, for his own aggrandizement, for his own self-gain. Understand? He takes that quality that he has of being a fixer, somebody who knows how to make everything organized and neat and well planned. He doesn't use that for the sake of God. He uses it for his own sake, selfish purposes. That's what Esav does. So therefore he failed. You understand? So what happens is that Yosef HaTzadik comes in his place. What does that mean? Hashem tells Esav, listen, I wanted you to be the Messiah, but you failed. You went for your own good, so then I bring Yosef to take your place. So Yosef is also a Messiah. You understand? As we see, we're going to see in the next parshiot, right? In the following weeks, we're going to see that he was a Messiah. What does that mean? He saved the Jewish people from ruins, from being downtrodden. He was the one who lifted them up, right? So Yosef HaTzadik was willing to do the job. Esav was not willing to do the job. So that's one thing why Yosef is the antidote to Esav. You understand? In other words, where Esav fails, Yosef comes and takes his place. Right?
But if this world belongs to Esav, how did he fail?
Oh, because you see that the whole thing is that it belongs to him because this world is corrupted. You understand? So he's a part of that corruption. But his job was not to be a part of the corruption. He was to save us from the corruption. That was his job. Understand? Right, exactly. To make everything organized. The truth is, that he does his job somewhat, though. Esav. What does that mean? That you see, right? Wherever you see the countries of Esav, over there it's organized. There's more law and order. There's more, right? Everything is, normal country, right? Country which functions properly. This is what happens in the countries of Esav. Why is that? Because Esav knows how to organize things. You know what I mean? He knows how to make proper function of everything. Everything functions in the right way. Like the founding fathers of this country, right? They were very smart people. They knew how to make a country. You know what I mean? But they didn't do it for the sake of God. They did it for their own good purposes. But whatever it is, anyway, the point is they knew how to do something good there, right? So what does that mean? That until we get to Olam Haba, this is the reason why Esav runs the world. You know why? Because Esav knows how to do it, even though it's corrupted, but he has law and order. You know what I mean? Without that, it's anarchy, like tohu vavohu, like everything is this. When you have a word like that, you cannot function, you cannot live like that. This is why the Chazal said, by the way, that even though we're in this world, we prefer to be in the galut of Esav than to be in the galut of a different country. We're different. You know why? Because Esav, there's two things that are good about Esav. One is that, as we said, he's organized, so the country runs smooth, that he runs, number one. Number two, also, they treat the Jewish people with respect. There are other countries that they don't treat Jews with respect. Esav respects the Jews. In other words, they know how to appreciate, even though they don't participate in that lifestyle, the Jewish people, but they know how to appreciate it. Understand? So this is the reason why the Chazal said, if I'm going to be in Galut, I'd rather be with Esav's Galut than to be in a different Galut. This is the idea. So this is one of the things. But anyway, the point is, now that Yaakov came, he found that Yosef was born. So he said, listen, now I have the antidote to Esav. There's also another reason why Yosef is the antidote to Esav. Because they say, right, that what happened was that there was a conflict between Esav and Yaakov. Esav was chasing after Yaakov to kill him. So what happens is that when they come to the measure of justice comes to the world, they ask Esav like this, right? They say, listen, why did you chase after your brother Yaakov? What kind of brother are you? Why do you try to kill your brother? What's with you? This is the way you treat your brother? So you know what Esav says, right? His excuse is, I have an excuse, Everybody says, right, when you don't want to show up to class, right? They tell you, why did you come to class? So I have an excuse, I have a note. So what's Esav's excuse? His excuse is, but also the brothers, they chased after Yosef. So I'm not any worse than them. So if I'm bad, they should also be counted to be bad. But you tell me they're tzaddikim, I'm a rasha, right? Why am I such a rasha? I chased after my brother. They also chased after their brothers. You understand? So the only one who doesn't have this predicament is Yosef. What does that mean? He didn't chase after nobody. You understand? Yosef was a very kind person, very benevolent person. He was full of kindness, So he was, like they say, right? He couldn't kill a fly, this guy. That's the way he was. You know what I mean? He couldn't kill a person who's good, his brothers, his family. He was incapable of doing such thing like that. He was too kind. He was too lovely. He was very, 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 very warm, passionate person towards his family. So therefore, he wasn't capable of doing that. Do you understand? So Yosef HaTzadik, when it comes to that, right? What do they say? Esav has no answer to that, right? Okay, those brothers, they chased after their Yosef. But what did Yosef do? He didn't do nothing. So therefore, they say the Chazal that when the time comes, right, for the destruction of Edom, of Esav, who's going to be the one? Yosef is going to be the one who's going to do it. He's the one. He has the power to do it. Right? There's also another one which is like that, which is Binyamin as well. Why Binyamin? Because also Binyamin didn't participate in this whole charade, right? In this whole facade. Chasing after your brother. He didn't chase after Yosef. Right? He wasn't a part of that. So therefore, Yosef and Binyamin, they say the sons of Rachel, they're the ones who are going to defeat Esav. Because they don't have this problem of being accused like that, You also did that. I didn't do nothing. What are you telling me, right? That's the idea. This is the reason why they have the power to destroy. So therefore, the verse says, what does the pasuk say? That the Bet Yosef, right, the house of Yosef shall be like a flame, and they're going to burn Esav. They're going to be the ones to burn Esav. That's the idea. Okay, very good. So you get the idea. There's also another thing which is very interesting. The Zohar Kadosh goes into something deep over here, which is that there are powers of impurity. That the people who are Rashaim, the wicked people, they draw their power from there. That's where they get their power from, Like this guy commented on my YouTube, one of those guys, right? So what does that mean? That they have the power that comes from a certain source. So this source, there's two types of power that the Zohar Kadosh lists. One is called Shor and one is called Chamor. Chamor. Shor and Chamor, right? What is that? What is a Shor? The Shor is the ox, right? Chamor is the donkey. So these also represent types of impure powers in this world. So therefore, what happened was that now Yaakov Avinu was willing to go back home. You know why? Because he tells, when he sends the emissaries to go to Esav to meet them, what does he tell them? He says, I have Shor and I have Chamor. That's what he says. If you look in the passage, what do I care if you have Shor or Chamor? What are you telling me? What are you trying to tell me over here? You have animals? Okay, very good for you, God bless you, So eat them, if you want to eat them. What do you want me to do? Why is he telling Esav, I have Shor and Chamor? So he's telling them, he says, those powers that you try to use, I have ways to combat that. Now I'm powerful enough. So it's not going to help you. Don't try to defeat me with those powers of Shor and Chamor. Forget about that.
Okay, both Chamor and Shor are evil powers, in other words.
There's a good side also from them, but there's also the bad side of Shor and Chamor. They say these two things, you understand? Also, all the more so if they come together as one unit, then they become like very deadly, like destructive. They say that when these two powers come together, these two powers of evil, Shor and Chamor, what happens is that the world gets like decimated. Like World War II. You know what happened over there? So many people, millions of people died. You know what happens? Why that happens? Sometimes in the history of the world, because these two powers come together, and then the evil takes over. Propagates very, very strong. So then you get like a very wicked leader. That comes, like Stalin and Hitler, people like this, understand? They're also from Esav, these people. But this is Amalek, this is the worst part of Esav, This is like the bottom of the bottom, The worst of the worst. These people are killers. They're bloodthirsty. They'll kill anybody for no reason, Whatever they want, they feel like they do. So Yaakov tells Esav, he tells him, don't try to fight with me with those powers, because I have antidotes to that. What does that mean? What antidotes did he have? Because he had two sons, right? One was called Shor and one was called Hamor. Which is that? Yosef is called the Shor, right? Yosef is the ox. So he is the pure element of that. You understand? And who's the Hamor? Issachar, right? Issachar was called Hamor, as we say in the pasuk, in the verse. He's called Hamor Garem. So therefore he tells Esav, he tells him, don't try to do those things with me. I have antidotes to everything. So whatever you try to do, you won't be able to get me. This was the illusion that he sent them, all these emissaries, to tell them all these things. Sure, Hamor, what do I give you? You have animals? Okay, good for you. What does that have to do with me? What does that help me? There's a lot of interesting things regarding this, right?
So Esav didn't know what he meant.
He understood. He understood. Yeah, he understood. He was trying to give him illusions. He didn't want to tell him straight out, listen, I'm going to fight with you, I'm going to defeat you. He didn't want to speak like that. You know what I mean? Because when you speak like that, you're already looking for a fight. You're looking for problems. You know what I mean? You're exactly. So you know what they say? The idea is like this, right? That a leader, a president, has to know how to speak eloquently. If you want to state something, it doesn't mean you have to be so harsh, and so rigid, and very, very, very crude. When you talk in a crude way, as a leader, that brings you down. It makes you look uncouth. Not classy. You're not elegant, not presidential. That's the idea, right? So when a president speaks like that, people get very offended. Hey, who are you? What are you trying to? Then they'll try to impeach you. If you speak with them like that, they'll try to get you also. So you gotta speak with them, in a very nice, gentle manner. So this is what Yaakov Avinu was doing. He was speaking to them like that. That's one of the interesting things, right? When it comes to greet Esav. Also, there's another thing. There's many elements involved with this, right? The other thing is also that Yaakov Avinu. The question is, the Chazal ask a very, very simple question. Like, you're going back home, So what does that mean? You're going to your father. Yitzchak was still alive at that time. You're going back to see your father. So what are you looking for problems? Calling Esav, trying to send emissaries to him. Just go home and take care of your business. If he comes to attack you, then you'll defend yourself. But meanwhile, why are you looking for problems? Trying to contact him. Why? What do you need this for? So the Chazal is saying in the Midrash that this was a mistake. What he did. What does that mean? He gave him too much credibility. By doing that. He tells him, my master, Esav calls him my master, this, and my big brother, and why are you saying all these things? Just leave him alone, Let him be to himself. He's a bum, Let him be to himself a bum. What's it to you? Go to your family, go to your father, and be with you in your house. What's it to you? So the Chazal say, on the one hand, this was a mistake. What does that mean? They say that because he gave such credence to Esav, such credibility, he made him into a king like that. In other words, he offered it like a silver platter. It says, "You're the king. I admit to you. You're the boss. You're my boss. I'm your servant. You're my master." Why are you telling him this? You're making him into something which is not yet. That's one side of the story, right? But the Zohar Kadosh really says, different side of the story. Just the opposite of what we just heard now, right? It says Zohar Kadosh, what Yaakov Avinu did was very good, very smart what he did. What does that mean? That he sent them emissaries telling him, listen, you're my master. It's all yours, buddy. You're the boss. I'm just a side player. Somebody on the side, unimportant person. I'm a nobody. You got it all. The world is yours. Why did he tell him this? Because he wanted to give him Olam Hazeh. He wanted to give it to him on a silver platter. That's the whole idea. He's telling Esav, listen, we had a fight. You know how it is, right? We had that struggle in the stomach, when we were being born. You took Olam Hazeh, so here, I'm giving it to you now, I'm giving it to you on a silver platter. Go, take your kingdom, do what you want to do, and see where the Lord takes you, Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? And then, once you're done, I'll be next online, Meanwhile, take your world. This is the world you wanted, go take it. This is what he wanted to tell. So the Zohar Kadosh says this was very smart. Why is that? Because you're giving him something Why is that? In order that you can take also yours later. In other words, you know you're next online, right? Exactly. You know you're next online. If he finishes his world, then your kingdom will come after that. So why not just give it to him? Give it to him let him take it. So Zokadosh says this was actually something very smart what he did by giving him the malchut. You're the king. You're the boss. Go for it. Let's go. Be the president. This and that.
He's going to wait 6,000 years until his turn comes to.
Whatever it takes, it takes. This world is over. Yeah, 6,000 years. That's how much the world is. More or less, right? Because the switch could come. Will probably become before that a little bit. The switch will come before that a little bit. Yeah, probably. That's the way it'll be. But the point is, he told them, he said, go take it. Let's see what you can do with it. Eventually they're going to impeach you. That's what's going to be. Your kingdom is going to be finished. That's what I know that. But I'll wait for you. I'll be on the side over there. We're doing my stuff. Olam hazeh is yours.
Yeah.
It's not mine. Go take it. Go with it. Right? So they say, by the way, that this deal with Olam hazeh and Rabbi was like a very tight contract. By these two. They meant it very seriously. This wasn't some kind of a joke, some kind of a game. What does that mean? That Esav was very adamant to check on Yaakov that he shouldn't be taking too much of Olam hazeh. He didn't want that. Every time he would see Yaakov, trying to do too much, he would tell him, "Hey, what's going on over here? Olam hazeh is yours. Why are you trying to be such a billionaire? Trying to be like Mr. King, this and that. Why are you taking too much from Olam hazeh?" So Esau was checking up on him, to see that he shouldn't take too much. And this is why the Chazal tell us, the very important thing that a person should know, when he's in Galut, don't try to compete with the Goyim too much, to be like on their level, go tit for tat with them. When it comes to material. Because when they see you, being like them, they'll say, hey, I'm the boss over here, what are you trying to be like me for? I have to be a little bit above you. This is Olam hazeh, this is mine. They don't like that when they see that, the Goyim. You understand? They get jealous. When they see you going for too much a little bit, exaggerating a little bit, they say, hey, this is your Yaakov. No, you're not Esav. What's your name? Weinstein? You're Yaakov. Why are you trying to be like Esav? What's it with you? That's the idea. That's exactly what happened with there's many in history. There's many examples of that, right? One of the most famous ones was in Spain, right? What happened was that King Ferdinand, right, and his wife was Isabel, right? Jezebel, right? So, right. So they say that how did the whole thing start with with the Inquisition and the expulsion? The whole thing started with some jealousy, between the wives. What happened was that one of the rabbis, big rabbis in Spain, his name was Yitzhak Abarbanel, So his wife. This guy was the economics minister of the government, of the king. He was the right. Economics minister. What do they call that? Secretary of Treasury, like Minuchin. Yeah. There's also a Jew there. Huh? Jews like this position. For some reason they like to be. So
before
yeah.
that, you had that idiot Geithner who cheated on his own taxes. But don't remember this schmuck.
So at that time. Ferdinand, his economics minister, right, his secretary of treasury, was also a Jewish guy. He was a rabbi. Abarbanel was his name. Avravanel, right? So what happens is that his wife, he must have been wealthy. You can imagine, right? You don't become a minister being a pauper. You have to have money for that. It's everything in the malchut is all cash. When you don't have cash, you can't get into that stuff. You have no business over there, right? You have to be with the big boys. You know what I mean? So you gotta have big, deep pockets to get into that, right? So what happens is that he buys his wife, Abarbanel, he buys her a nice big diamond ring, right? Gold diamond, something. Something like, unbelievable, right? 10 carats, So she comes and shows it to Isabella, right? The wife of the king, right? The queen, tells him, oh, you see what my husband brought me? Nothing like this in the world, this ring, right? So she got jealous, She went to her husband, to the king. He says, look at these Jews, they're doing better than we are. What's going on over here? Who's Esau? Who's Yaakov? What's going on? What's flying over here? And this is the reason why the whole thing started. This is one of the reasons why, because of the jealousy that they had between these two women. That's the idea, right? So you see from there You have to be very, very careful about that. Not to go too crazy in galut. That's one of the things, right?
You don't find it a problem and ironic that a bunch of Jews are trying to impeach the president?
This is also a problem, very big problem.
They're not observant Jews, maybe, but they are.
But they have Jewish names, very, very visible, whatever. Yeah, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is like this, right? But there's also a funny story about that. You know what the funny story is, right? Funny story is that, as we said, right, Esav used to come once in a while to check up on Yaakov, to see, are you taking too much from Olam Hazeh? Let's see what you're doing, right? So what happened was that Esav used to come once in a while, show up. How are you, Yaakov? Long time no see, huh? What's going on with you now? So one time he came, right? And this was on Shabbat, So he saw him making a big seudah, this big meal, all the, trimmings, the food, the big family, extended family, 50 people sitting there on the table, big table. So he tells, Esav tells Yaakov, says, my brother, he says, this is Olam Haba for you? This is Olam Hazeh. You're taking a little bit too much, no? Tells him, he says, what is this? What's going on with you? You should be eating, just in your kitchen, some sandwich and going to learn Torah. What's it to you to be sitting with these big, opulent meals? So Yaakov tells him, he says, my brother, he says, no, don't take it the wrong way. He says, this is Shabbat, this is a mitzvah. Seudat mitzvah, So tells him, he says, mitzvah doesn't count. It's not Olam Hazeh, it's Olam Haba. When you do Seudat mitzvah, it's Olam Haba. So it tells him, oh, it's Shabbat. He says, oh, I understand. Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I forgot today was Saturday, right? I forgot about that.
You never kept Shabbat.
At that time, he was already out of Judaism, right? He was already right on the outskirts. So what happens is, right, that now he comes. So next time he comes again, right? He makes sure not to come on Shabbat this time. Checks his calendar.
Yeah.
Make sure he comes on a different day. So he comes on Thursday night. You know what I mean? Again, right? Sees the same thing again. Big family. Big spread. Fancy foods. Hurmarili. Gulo, music. This and that. Tells him, he says, what's again? He says, this is not Shabbat. Tells him, what's going on now? He says, this is Yom Tov. It's Yom Tov. This is Yom Tov. This is a holiday. It's a festival. So this is also, he says, this is not Olam Haba. This is not Olam Hazeh. This is Olam Haba. This is a mitzvah. That's something else. So Esau tells him, I forgot. This was Pesach. I'm sorry. He says, I came at the wrong time again, huh? He says, okay, fine. So okay. The next time he tries it again. Comes back again, right? He looks on the calendar, a Jewish calendar, and tells him, make sure there's no holiday there, no nothing like that. He comes again. Again, he sees like a big seudah, tells him, he says, what's going on now? He says, he's my brother. He says, what's going on? He says, this is not a holiday now. I checked on the calendar. I checked on Google. This is not a holiday today. So he tells him, no. He says, today we have Brit Milah. My grandson was born. So we have Brit Milah. We're doing a big seudah. This is also seudat mitzvah. Like this, every time. You understand? So what's the moral of this story? There's a moral coming out of this, right? The moral is that the Jew is allowed to have Olam Hazeh in the way of mitzvah. You understand? If you're doing it in the way of mitzvah, you can have Olam Hazeh because this is Olam Haba. This is a mitzvot. But if a person is doing just on weekdays, going for no reason, no Seudat mitzvah, he didn't finish. Also, there's Seudat Masechet, right? When you finish a Gemara, when you finish a Torah book, also you're supposed to have a nice meal. So he doesn't have this, doesn't have that. Just goes out, to pig out, some restaurant, eats like steaks, this and the kebabs, chicken. Comes out of there, he's about to explode. What did you have today? There was something. So why did you eat so much? For what? For what? Just to be. This is too much. You see, that's the whole thing, right? So a Jew has to put his Olam Hazeh in the context of Olam Haba, in the context of mitzvot. When he does that, it looks very, very good. It's very kosher. That's the idea, right? This is the way a Jew has to be.
Rabbi, I want to ask you something a little off the topic. No, not off the topic, actually. No, on the topic, but kind of, elementary. The brothers, they were actually addressing each other in those terms?
Yeah, they
actually knew?
Yeah, sure, they knew. They knew very well. They were very smart people, they were much smarter than us, We're compared to them like little fries, to small fries. We were compared to them.
And it was okay for Esav to give up the world to come.
That was his choice, that was his choice.
In other words, he knew.
He knew, of course he knew. Of course, of course he knew. That's it.
No, I mean,
That's it. He gave up.
no, it's amazing. Ro Adamian Maitis, Ro Bedruk Zazea. Gaige. The Tan Evaseva. And he's accepting it, and he's actually proud of it. And, Emar Chileba, Gaige. Esegi, Vici Ubeduri Rovaro, Magram Mes Mindao, Gaige. The Ismere Bombabalshi. It's incredible.
That's how the wicked are.
Yeah.
That's how they are. Right? So there's also another interesting thing to understand, right? Which is that they say that Esau totally left Judaism. We talked about this before, right? We spoke about that. Okay, anyway, let's go back to this narrative. So what happens is that now Yaakov sends the emissaries, to see what's going on. He wants to feel out the mood of Esau, Is he in a bad mood, good mood? Is he wants to reconcile, he wants to kiss and make up. Mm-hmm. What's his intention? What's his motivation over here? So they come back, the emissaries they sent, they tell him, it says the situation is very bad, He's mad at you, he's piping hot, he's steaming with wrath. The guy is coming for blood. You gotta watch out. So Yaakov, starts to make a contingency plan over here, right? Says, man, this is terrible. And they also tell him, listen, he's not alone by himself. Even if he was alone, no big deal. You know what I mean? He's got his sons there with him. He's got a whole clan over there. He can defend himself, no problem. But he's got over there. They told him he's coming with 400 people. He's got, some officers, army. He's got a small little army there, right? Little mafia people, right? He's coming with 400 people. All them tough guys, they're coming to get you. This is what's going on. So Yaakov starts to get worried. He says, my God, what's going to be over here, right? It's going to be either kill or get killed, right? One or the other. So he starts to make a plan. First he sends him a gift, right? He sends him a gift.
So Yaakov is still hoping somewhat that
to reconcile. He wants to reconcile.
And what's going to happen when they?
He wants to live in peace. Live in peace. That's the idea. Just like we want to live in peace. He wants to also live in peace.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to have wars all the time. Struggles, all kinds of things like this, right? It's dangerous.
But that will change the whole thing about Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. It'll change the whole concept.
Well, it's like you got to find a agreement. Come to terms with each other. That's it. And then live together. In one big happy family, right? Whatever. If you can say
let me into your house, I'll let you into my house later.
Right?
Trade.
I see.
So what happens is that he makes all kinds of contingency things. He says, I'm going to send them a gift. He sent them a very big gift, very lavish. Right? They say the Chazal, by the way, that if you go to meet Esav, what does that mean? The Goyim, you go to meet them, you have some kind of meeting with them. So every time they used to go, the rabbis to go meet with the big shots amongst the Goyim. What does that mean? The Caesars, the Romans. The president, the Caesar, the Senate, they had a Senate over there. Whatever. So the Senate, by the way, that word comes from Rome. It's a Roman word. You know that, right? They had a Senate over there. So what happens is like this, right? That they used to study this parsha before they went. Why is that? Because they want to see how Yaakov Avinu was able to, get by over here, to get off. This is the idea. Every time they would go to the Romans, they would study this parsha. Make sure that they got all the things down. All the maneuvers, all the strategies, right? Everything, they got it all done. Because this is like a textbook, for this encounter over here. What Yaakov Avinu did, he made us he sent us to school over here. He schooled us how to behave with Esav. So one of the most important things is like this, right? That when he later on comes to meet Esav. Now this is exactly what Sosa was talking about, right? That sometimes Esav comes to you in a friendly way. He tells you, he says, I love you, you Jews, you're good people, you're our big brothers, and we love you, we respect you, you have a great religion, you're great people, you're the ancient people, you're the people of the book, When Esau comes and talks to you like this is the most dangerous thing you should do. Why is that? Because he wants to trip you up with something. He's being nice to you in order to catch you somewhere. Understand? So the sages teach us, what happened was like this. Over here also, Esau came to Yaakov. What did he tell him over here when he met him? He told him, he says, my brother, he says, you know what, now that we met each other, let's go together, make one family together. We'll be like an extended family together. So Yaakov Avinu right away, what did he tell him? He told him, he says, no thanks, but no thanks, I'm I'm not interested in having an extended family with you. You got your world, I got my world, right? You got your place, I got my place. We're not going to be together. Yeah, he tells him in a very nice way, a very gentle way. He doesn't want to offend him, What does he tell him? He says, listen, I have young children, I have, animals, livestock. I can't go fast as you, like the speed that you go. You have like soldiers, your army. I can't go at that speed. We're going very, very slow. We can't go with you. I'm sorry, but we can't. So this is teaching you a very important thing, right? Which is what? That don't try to go with Esav together. When Esav comes and tells you, oh, we love you, Israel, we love Israel, and all these kinds of things, you should know that in their heart they have something else in there. It's not exactly what you think. They tell you, come to you with the hugs and kisses, and money, and they open up their checkbooks. They're not coming for your purposes. They're coming for their own purposes. This is the idea.
You think that the Israelis know this, or?
I hope they know. They better know, right? They know. Believe me, they're not that stupid. They're not that stupid. Sometimes you get a little bit carried away with these things. You lose your composure a little bit. You know what I mean? But the point is, right, that we learn from here that we have to keep a distance from Esav. You're over there, we're over here. We have peace between each other, peace, friendship, camaraderie, but not to be one society together. We don't want to do that. Esav offers the Jews a different deal. Esav says to the Jews, let's make one society. We'll be all together. If I'm the president, you'll be the Secretary of State. You'll be the Intelligence Committee, right, the chairman. You'll be this chairman. The Judicial Committee. We'll give you this. I'll be here. You'll be there. I'll be the speaker. You'll be this, right? He says, I'll give you positions also in my kingdom. We'll be together, just like you see today, right? The Jews are in there. They're inside that game, right? They like to play. They like to play these games. The Jews like to be inside. So Esav wants that. He wants to share the malchut with Yaakov. Why is that? Because he gets the blessing from that. The fact that Yaakov is there, the Jews are there, they get blessing from that. It's advantageous to them. It's good for them, bad for us. Why is that? Because it causes us to sin, and it causes them to be blessed. So therefore, Yaakov. This is why Yaakov Avinu told Esav, says, "I'm not interested. I'm sorry, but I have my society. You have your society. That's it, right? We're brothers, but equal but separate. Separate but equal. That's the idea, right? That's what he tells them. This is what he told him. So they say, right, that one time there's a story brought down in the Gemara that one of the Chachamim in the times of the Second Temple, they went to visit the Caesar. They used to go to Rome, speak to the Caesar over there. At that time, the Romans were dominating, the Middle East. So they had to speak with them to make deals, cut deals. Just like today, they come to Washington, they cut deals with them, this, that, all kinds of negotiations, right? So the rabbis used to go, they would visit the Caesar, and they, as I told you, they used to study this parasha before they went, just to make sure they don't make a mistake. The proper strategy, So what happens is, right, that one time they went to Caesar, and Caesar was, greeted them with lots of respect, How are you? Nice to see you. Blah blah blah. Blah. We love Israel. Right? What tells them? So once the Jews, the rabbis are about to leave, after the meeting is over, so the Caesar tells them, he says, what? He says, you guys are going on a long road now. Go back to Israel. Let me give you some of my people. Some officers to protect you on the way. Because if you go by yourselves, maybe somebody will attack you. Tells them like this, right? So the rabbis didn't pay attention to this whole nuance. So they accepted it, They accepted the offer. So what happened was that when they started to go on the road, those officers they brought they attacked them. You understand? Instead of protecting them, they attacked them. They tried to pillage them. So once that happened, right, then the rabbis remembered. They said, we didn't remember what Yaakov Avinu did, right? He told Esav, I want to be separate from you. I'm not interested. That's the idea. Right? So a person has to know, right, that there's always a strategy. The truth is, that when I heard that story, right after that, there was something that happened also here, which was very similar. You know what happened was? Something really interesting. You remember that whole story in Crown Heights with those riots that they had? When that Yankel Rosenbaum was killed, this boy, yeshiva student. You remember that whole story? You remember? There was riots. At that time, Dinkins was the mayor. You remember that whole story? So it happens like this, right? How did that whole thing, those riots start? What happened over there? There was a background there. The background was that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was still alive at that time, the police used to give him escort. He used to go to the cemetery of his wife and his father-in-law, all kinds of things like this, right? So he would go to the cemetery, and the police would escort him. He would get like a official police escort every time. So this is exactly what we're talking about. You understand? You're being escorted by Esav. This is not so good. So what happened was that one day, he's coming back from the cemetery, right? So like a whole motorcade they had, motorcade. Can you imagine being treated like the president? Oh, big kavod, right? So what happened was that the motorcade was going. At that time, they were going through a light, right? Stoplight, and it turned red. So what happened was that the police ran the red light, and then the car that was behind them, the Jewish car, they also ran the red light. You understand? So what happened was when they ran the red light, they killed like a black boy there, one of the locals over there in Crown Heights. This is what happened, So this is how the rioting started. See, again, we see the same thing, right? That when you're escorted by Esav, it's destined to be something, all that started because of they were being escorted by the police. So that's why it's better to go by yourself, don't to be escorted by nobody. Go, Hashem will protect you, right? You don't need to be protected by nobody. You don't need escorts. You don't need a motorcade. Just be a simple Jew. Go and do your job. That's the idea, right? This is the whole idea. So another interesting thing is we find over here is that what happened was that before he met up with Esav, he had to first meet up with his heavenly prince, right? So what does that mean? As a Chazal tell us, we find in the Zohar Kadosh several places over there. It says, who's the heavenly prince of Esav? The Satan himself, right? He's the heavenly prince of Esav. So what happens is that before you come to defeat somebody, when you have to first defeat his heavenly prince. If you defeat his heavenly prince, so he himself will reconcile with you, because he knows that he can't beat you anymore. So what happened was that this is exactly what happened to Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu, once they were coming to greet Esav on the way, they were crossing over a certain river there. There was a certain river. It's called Yabok. The Jabbok River. Yabok River, right? It's like in the northern part of Eretz Israel, in Syria over there, whatever. So what happens is that he's crossing over, and as they crossed over, he remembered Yaakov Avinu that he forgot some utensils back in the old camp where they were getting camped over there. So he went back by himself to get those things, to fetch them, They say you learn from here, by the way, a lesson. Why did Yaakov Avinu care so much about those utensils? They were very cheap stuff, like plates, bowls, cups, things like this, Porcelain, Who cares about this stuff? You're going back to fetch that stuff, you want to go travel 10 miles, right? To get your porcelain, earthenware. So they say that, what the lesson is? The lesson is that the tzaddik is very attached to his things, his possessions. You know why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him everything he needs, so everything is crucial for him to do the service of God. So when he loses even one thing, that's a big loss for him. That's why he went back to fetch those things. Because for a tzaddik, everything is crucial. Whatever he has, he won't buy something which he doesn't need. Just for the sake of showing it off or whatever. This kind of thing, right? As using it as an ornament, some kind of whatever he has, he needs it. So therefore, everything is precious to him. So he went back over there, but the mistake he made was what? That he didn't. He went by himself, right? He didn't go. He didn't go with his friends, with his sons, whatever. Escort. He went right, exactly. No escort. They say with Adam Gadol, when a big person goes to a journey, you should have at least two people with him, one on the right side, one on the left side, right? That's the idea. Or a big chacham, or a big leader, something governor, a president, whatever. You should always have two people by him. He went by himself. This was the mistake that he made. Fast, whatever, overlooked it. So what happens is that right there in the middle of the night, right, this is like the wee hours of the night, 3:00 in the morning, just like before dawn. All of a sudden, when he goes over there, he gets attacked, right? Gets attacked. Who attacked him? It was the heavenly prince of Esav, right? That's who it was. Who was that? The Satan himself, right? So what happened was the Satan came to attack Yaakov. Why? Because what is he coming to attack him for? What is he coming to? Do you know people get attacked by Satan in the middle of the street like that? What is he coming to attack him for? So Satan, when he comes to attack you, he doesn't have power just to kill you for no reason. He has to find that you have sins. Mm-hmm. So what he was doing is he was looking for Yaakov if he had any sins anywhere, see, check him out, size him up. What's really, You went to Lavan's house for 20 years. Did you come back kosher, or you're not so kosher anymore? Now maybe you're like a reform rabbi, conservative rabbi. Maybe you're not orthodox anymore like you used to be. Huh? Let's see what you are. So what did Satan do? He was looking. Why was he fighting with him physically? You know why? Because, as we said, the mitzvot correspond to the limbs of the body. There's 248 limbs in the body. Each one of them has a mitzvah, corresponds to that. Pazer mitzvot. So he was looking at the limbs of his body to see if any of them is lacking a mitzvah. He went here, he went there, tried the shoulders, back, shoulders, arms, forearms, trying to look over there, see over there, legs, feet, this, that. Couldn't find nothing over there, right? All the limbs are kosher. What does that mean? He was doing all the mitzvot, Yaakov Avinu, even at Lavan's house, right? That's what happened. So Satan got frustrated. They're fighting with each other, wrangling, like this wrestling, judo contest, bach, like this, going one with the other. So in the end, Satan sees there's nothing to bite on, nothing to chew on. No material over there. So what happens is, right, that he has only one recourse over here. What's the recourse of Satan? He got him in a place where over there, it's not because of a sin that place is impure. It's just, that's the way it is always. You understand? There is one place like that. What do we call that? We call that the Gidan Asher, right? It's like one of the nerves, one of the main nerves in the leg. Both legs have like one of those nerves. It's called sciatic nerve, right? That's what it's called. Sciatic. It's like a thick, nerve. And he got him over there. Why is that? Because over there, it's not because of a sin. Just it's always tamei that place. So he knocked him over there. He says, at least I'll get you with something. If I can't get you, really, I'll get you with that. So the truth is that wasn't really such a major blow that he did. You know why? Because once the morning came, the sun came up, and he got healed right away. Yaakov Avinu. That limp that he had, he was limping, But once the sun came and healed him, you know why? Because that wasn't due to a sin. That was just because of the situation, the nature of that limb. The nature is to be impure. And this is the reason why we're not allowed to eat that limb, by the way. You should know, right? The sciatic nerve, when even an animal, right, who is slaughtered, they have to remove that nerve from there. You're not allowed to eat that. Why? Because they say it's always impure. So if you eat it, it also makes your mind impure. Your neshama. It defiles the soul. That's why we don't eat that. Gidan Asher. They have to remove that. Whether it's a cow or a lamb, whatever it is, right? Any of these.
That's what they mean in Georgia and Zinanita Ukanani. It's in the rear side of that.
That's a different story. That's talking about the fats, right? The forbidden fats.
Okay, that's a different nerve.
Yes, it's not a nerve. It's forbidden fats. It's called the hind fats.
No, in Georgia they say Dadzarwa.
Right. Yes.
That's the nerve we're talking about. There are different nerves there also.
Yeah, that's one of the main things they have to do. That's our way. Yes. Yes. They have to remove that. Right. Yes. Also to remove the veins which have blood. Also, that's another thing they do. It's a whole story there. It's a whole story. It's a whole process.
Now Satan shows up in human form, or what is he exactly?
Sometimes he does show up in human form. Mm-hmm. When it says in Zohar Kadosh, when an angel comes to this world, he has to be clothed into like a human form. Because when you come to this world, you have to take on the nature of this world. Mm-hmm. You can't come to this world as some kind of some kind of alien, some kind of out of UFO, kind of thing. You have to come as you are. Come as you are. That's as everybody else. You have to do like the minhag of the place that you're in.
Like a Terminator came, he got
right.
Used.
Exactly.
Oh.
So that's the idea. So what happens is now, right, that Yaakov Avinu, not only was the Satan not able to beat him in this wrestling match, right, in this judo contest, not only he wasn't able to beat him, but Yaakov Avinu had him in a headlock. He got him like this. He's got him. He says, "I want to let you go." Satan tells him, "Says let me go now." He says, "Let me go." So Yaakov Avinu says, "No, I got you, man. That's it. You're mine. I'm going to eat you for lunch. I'm not going to go nowhere." So Satan tells him, no, he says, "You have to let me go. You don't understand." He says, "Why I have to let you go?" So he says, because every angel, when the morning comes, they have to sing to Hashem. They have like over there some kind of a
choir.
Singing choir, right? Exactly, choir. It's called mishmarot. That's what it's called in Hebrew, right? Like different hours of the day. Angels have to sing, right? Exactly. The shift changes every 3 or 4 hours. They change shifts. That's the idea, right? So what happens is it tells him, he says, listen, I got to go now sing to Hashem. I got a job to do. Let me go. And that's it. We're done.
Sings to Hashem also?
Yeah, everybody has to sing to Hashem. Right? Even the bad guys. Even the bad guys have to sing. Right?
And he accepts their singing?
Oh yeah, he wants everybody. Everybody comes to serve Hashem. Everybody's working for him. You know what I mean? So what happens like this, right? That Yaakov Avinu tells him, okay, fine. He says, I'll let you go on one condition. You have to bless me. Like Jimmy always says, right? Bless my, my lotto.
No, I never said bless my lotto. I said bless me. You don't want any paper to be blessed. Bless me.
Right? So he also was like you, Jimmy. He tells me, he says, listen, I won't let you go until you bless me.
Okay. That's fair.
So he wants blessing from the devil.
Right? What does that mean? What he wants, you should admit that you weren't able to overcome it. In other words, bless me and tell me.
You're stronger than me.
So this is exactly what we're talking about with Boria. What does that mean? He wanted him to admit that what he bought from him, the firstborn right, was properly what he did. You got to admit it. I'm kosher. Your man is not kosher. So you got to bless me. You got to admit to me that whatever I took was proper, right? With permission. Right? There was no abuse of power. There was no bribery, right? No, right? All these kinds of things, right? No quid pro quo, right? All kinds of things. No, nothing. I took it kosher. Everything kosher. So Satan had to admit to him, So he says, listen. He says, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to give you now a new name, right? Because your name is Yaakov. I'm going to call you Israel, right? So this new name was given to Yaakov Avinu, Israel. Why was he called Israel? This word connotes that you fought with the God and you defeated. What does that mean? The angel of God, like Satan, you fought with him and you defeated him. So he was able to defeat even the angel of God. So Yaakov Avinu, name has a different connotation, right? What does that mean? Yaakov has connotation like you're able to survive by doing all kinds of tricks, sneaky, pulling off tricks, scams, all kinds of things like this, right? Like they're doing those communities over there, all those kinds of things. Yaakov Avinu was like this, This is the lower part of the Jewish people. The lower part of the Jewish people, the simple people, how do they survive? By, doing all kinds of things, giving some, scams, doing some things over here, pulling off this, pulling off that, all kinds of things, right? To get by in life, like give some gift to somebody, give him a gift, give him a bribe, give him this, That's how we did, that's how we lived. In Galut. We had to bribe people, because they hated us so much. If we didn't bribe them, they wouldn't let us live. They would confiscate our property. You know what it was over there in Russia, right? And communists. It was terrible over there. So now you have a new name. What does that mean? If you're high enough like that, you become Israel. What does that mean? You don't need to be any more like a gift, all kinds of gifts and bribes, scams. You don't need that anymore. Now you're able to defeat even the gods, right? The angels. It's a different level altogether. This is why he was given the name. So he tells him also, he says, you know what? When you come back to Eretz Israel, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bless you over there. He's going to come and bless you, and I'll be there to agree with him. Satan tells him, he says, I'll be there to say Amen. 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 That's it. Right? Just don't worry. So everything is kosher. We're all solid. So what happened was that now, once the Satan was defeated, the angel of Esav. So now the rest of it was a cakewalk, right? Duck walk. Nothing, because all you have to now Esav had no power to defeat him anymore. So what does he do when he sees him, Esav? He runs to kiss him, to hug him, even though there was animosity there, right? A lot of frustration over there built up. So Chazal said he wanted to bite him, whatever. But the point was that Esav knew that he had now no choice but to kiss him and to hug him, because he had no power anymore. Once his guardian angel was defeated, he was also defeated, right? Automatically. That's the idea. They say, by the way, regarding these 400 guys, I'll finish with this, right? And we'll do maybe some Proverbs. But regarding the 400 guys that were with him, what happened was that once they start getting closer to Yaakov, they all start to slip off from him, like little by little, each one ran away. Because they got scared, when they saw Yaakov, they said, what's going on over here? Thinking he has to bite with this guy? He's got his sons over there, it's a big clan over here, Don't get us into trouble. So each one of them slipped off, So once he got to Yaakov, he was alone by himself. All the 400 guys slipped off. So I say, you see from here, by the way, an amazing thing, right? They say that these 400 guys who slipped off from Esav, they got rewarded for that. What does that mean? They got rewarded for the fact that they abandoned Esav. Because this was also a mitzvah, in a sense, what I mean? So how did they get rewarded? They say that this was what happened in the time of David HaMelech, right? What happened was that David went to make war with Amalek, to make a battle, because they kidnapped some of their people, they took some of their property. So what happened was that David Amalek went to attack Amalek. He defeated them, but 400 from Amalek, they ran off on donkeys, and they escaped. They say, who was those 400 people? Those 400 people, right? They were right, exactly. They were rewarded by being able to escape from David Amalek because they slipped off from Esav. Okay, very good. Okay, we'll say some Mishnah, Proverbs, and we'll finish it off. Okay, so I want to tell you something interesting here. One of the interesting things in this parak of the Mishnah, it says over here that Sifte Tzadik Edun Ratzon, that the lips of the righteous, they know how to please. What does that mean? That when a right person who's righteous and he speaks, he knows how to make peace between people, to talk to them in a way that they can understand, they can relate to, and therefore everybody ends up with peace, nice. Everything is peaceful and good, friendship, camaraderie. This is the way of a tzaddik. When he speaks, his mouth has a healing power, to make everybody feel good and happy and content. But it says, but when it comes to the wicked, right, everything they speak is like all kinds of trickery, and all kinds of tricks and scams. They're always trying to pull some kind of a trick on you. They try to tell you something which makes you, then they'll tell you later on, but you said like this, you said like, they try to trap you, with your words. Everything they say is trying to trap you, entrap you somehow. So the mouth of the wicked tries to entrap people, to snare them into a trap. The mouth of the righteous knows how to make peace with people, to make everybody content and happy. That's one of the things which is the difference between this mouth and that mouth. Very good. Also another one. תוחלת צדיקים שמחה, ותקוות רשעים תאבד. Look what it says, right? That the hopes of the righteous will be, in the end, for happiness, for joy. What does that mean? That a righteous person who has hopes to do some good things in his life, things which are good, L'Shem Shamayim, mitzvot, maasim tovim, good deeds, so that will make him happy. What does that mean? And eventually he'll do those things, and he'll do those mitzvot that he wanted to do. But tikvat reshaim toved, right? But when it comes to the hope of the wicked, it gets lost, right? What does that mean? They had all kinds of hopes to do all kinds of strange things according to their lusts. So those things, they will not come true, many of those things. You know what I mean? They'll get washed away. So what does that mean? That their hopes of the wicked, because they think about things which are not good, not beneficial, not l'shem shamayim, their hopes get lost. But when it comes to the hopes of the righteous, which are for good things, their hopes come to fruition. This is one of the things he says, right? Shlomo Melech. Very good. Okay, I want to do one more and we'll stop. There's one more that I wanted to do over here. This is a very good one. It's really very relevant for our times. It says, Sinat te'orer medanim. When it comes to hatred, it always stirs up strife. When you have hatred between people, they're always going to fight because of that. Right? You see what happens in Washington, right? You see over there what happens? All that is because of what? Because of hatred. They hate each other, If they just didn't hate each other, even if they don't love each other, the fact they don't hate each other, they would also help them to get by in life. But the fact they hate each other, there's always fights, and right, they're always there's always conflagrations going on between them, all kinds of rivalries, denigrating each other. Why is that? Because when a person has hatred in his heart, there's never going to be any peace like that. Always fighting going on. What's the root of that? The hatred that you have in your heart. This is the root. On the other hand, right? But when it comes to a person who loves his fellow man, it'll cover up for any sin. What does that mean? No matter what a person does to you, if you really love him, you'll forgive him. In general, that's the way it is. If you really love somebody, he did something to you, a little bit displeasing, you'll tuck it under the rug. You don't care about that. Why is that? Because when you love somebody, those things are insignificant.
Now this applies to the Jewish world.
This is really in general. This applies to everybody.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, this is like general advice.
Because there's hatred amongst them also.
It's exactly what I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Exactly what I just mentioned. Right? Go to Washington D.C. He goes over there. You see what goes on. Right?
I mean, do you really consider the Nadlers and the Shifts of the world observant Jews? No, they're.
Yeah, no, it's not a matter of observance. It's a matter of it's the nature of the world like this. You understand? So what does that mean? That when you have love, this also applies especially when you have a community, right? It's a community, they love each other, they'll forgive each other, because there's all kinds of things which happen, improprieties, between each other. He said this about me, he said this, he took my seat, he took my this, he took my this, he took my pasuk, he bought my mitzvah. If you love somebody, you'll forgive him for that.
Right.
You forgive him for anything.
Yeah.
Because there's a basic love between you. But when it comes to the hatred, even the littlest thing can become like a big deal. Like all of a sudden a big conflagration, a big fight.
Yeah.
A big machloket, a big strife. Why is that? Because it's being fueled by the hatred. People don't realize.
Yeah, they're trying to take down the guy because they hate him.
So what do you learn from there, right? When a person has a problem in the community, you have to get to the root of the problem. Not to look just at the outside, the surface. You got to go inside and see what's really causing, the problem. The hatred and the love is really what causes the problems in the community. When there's hatred, everything is going to be bad. Right? It's always going to be fights, screaming, yelling, denigration.
So in general,
when it comes to love,
your fellow men.
That's it. When you love, everything can be overlooked. Same thing when it comes to couples, by the way. Husband and wife. When they really love each other, they forgive each other for little things. They don't. Not everything has to be held to account. Why did you take my food in the fridge? You took my dinner. If you love somebody, will you really care about that? He took your dinner. You know what I mean? Yeah, the love will cover it up. If you really love your spouse, you won't be.
My wife called me. What do I want for dinner? So that shows definitely.
That's it. That's the
love
idea. Right? Exactly.
Respect.
That's love and respect. Baruch Adonai le'olam amen. Thanks for coming. God bless. All the best.
Let's go.
You should be blessed in all your endeavors. Blessed Hashem.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Blessings, good things, good tidings in your family, in your business, in your household, in your families, in your dealings. Everything should be good, Blessed Hashem. Good and well and happy and healthy. Amen. Amen.